So there's no question that the 2024 Ultra B took an absolute beating this weekend at Fox Valley Off-Road. We raced in nothing but sand and mud for 50 straight minutes. The 2024 Ultra B needs a complete rebuild, and in the assembly shop, it is completely torn apart. So today, what we're gonna do is walk over there, talk about the bike in its current condition, what we're gonna do to make it faster and better for the rest of the 2025 race season. So before we get started talking about the 2024 Ultra B, this is the brand new E-Ride Pro SR that we are going to be putting the Cirrus kit on. This will also be one of the bikes that we'll be racing in a lot of the races. Andrew is currently assembling it. We just got a fresh shipment of the SRs. So if you're looking for one of these bikes, I'll put the link in the description. But we are about to build this bike the best that we can to make it capable of handling and hanging with the 2024 Ultra B and the 2025 Ultra B. So here's where she sits. She is absolutely torn apart, basically down to the frame. The forks are gonna be coming off today along with the front wheel because we have a lot of damage that occurred, and it's not just this race that caused that damage. However, there is a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed on this bike in order for us to get it back in race shape, because what you're looking at now is not going to cut it. So up front, what you'll see is over the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, we started to receive just some damage to one of the lines here. And we taped it up, we made it fine, it worked, but it's not gonna work for the long term. So what we did is we ordered a complete new front brake assembly, new front brake disc, everything to kind of just bring this 2024 back to life. This is the original brake assembly that we had on it for the whole 1,000 miles that we've been on the bike. The brake assembly is fine, but it's always good to have a backup. I don't know if we're gonna replace it right away or just replace the pads, but we did get the EBMX competition pads because we have noticed that any other pad that we get, even the OEM Surron pads, they seem to die pretty quick. So we thought, why not go with a better, more competition style pad, because we are gonna start pushing this bike faster and getting it going quicker, so we want to be able to stop in the same amount of time or quicker than we were originally. So that's what we're going to do for both the front and the rear brakes, just beef these things up a little bit and help us slowing down when we need it. The powertrain in this bike, as you can see, has seen better days. This weekend at Fox Valley, it was nothing but sand, and when I mean sand, I mean sand. It was quite literally a sand track. It had rained for the entire weekend, so everything was disgustingly muddy and sandy and wet, but it is a lot more fun racing a sand track in the rain than it is when it's dry, because you get a little bit more traction, so I guess I can't complain too much. But looking in here, this is the original motor that we have had on this bike. And some things that I noticed when I was on the bike, even though it finished the race and I was able to take first place, the problem is I heard a huge pop coming from the drivetrain. And right here, sorry for the camera, we have the original jack shaft that was in this bike from the factory. I have never changed this jack shaft, I've never updated it, never done anything to it to make it better or stronger, but we did go with the EBMX competition jack shaft that we're gonna place on here. I have toyed with the idea of putting the chain drive conversion kit on this motor to see how it performs. However, I just don't see the problem with keeping the belt system. The belt in this bike has never given me a single issue, no matter how hard we were riding it and no matter what conditions we were riding it in. So much so, I will show you the belt and how it looks. Here's the belt. It's in pretty good shape, all things considered. I get a lot of questions about the drivetrain conversion kits, how much better or more efficient of a system it is. For us, I just don't think it's necessary. I think a lot of people have belt fear where they think their belt is going to break, so they think they need to replace it because they saw somebody else do it on YouTube. However, I don't believe that the noise is worth it, and there is more maintenance required when you have a chain drive. So it's something to consider if you guys are thinking about doing it. Just plan on putting some more time and love and care into your drivetrain if you do go with the chain drive conversion kit. All right, so let's talk about the battery. We have always run the OEM batteries until recently, where we input the DHSXE 80 amp hour battery in this bike. And that is the battery that I ran throughout the entire race. I finished the 50-minute race. I don't know exactly how many miles it was, but I finished that race with 50% battery. So I don't see a need to change this battery that we have in the bike, or that usually lives inside the bike, for a different battery for any additional power, because I'm not going to try to push this bike too much harder or too much faster, because I don't want to change out the original motor yet. The motor is still running really good. It performs well. I have no issues with it. So even though we could get them, we're just not really going to go down that road yet. I want to see how this bike performs and what it holds up to once we get the new controller put on. So EBMX just came out with their V3. We also have the Ventus motor. I'm not sure exactly which one, I'm sorry, the Ventus controller. I'm not sure exactly what controller we're gonna put on here, but we are gonna do one of those two upgrades. That should give us an additional 4 roughly kilowatts of power, but it will be so much more programmable and tunable to the style of riding that we do. This is obviously outfitted with the Cirrus kit, so it does have the Trail Tune Medium on it, and up until this point, after about 700 miles on these forks, it's probably time to get them serviced. We've never touched them, never serviced them. The only thing I did was increased the clickers a little bit when I added the additional battery. And whenever I go to the moto track on this bike, which I really don't ever plan to do again on this particular bike, I would always increase the compression just to be able to take big hits from larger jumps. But we are going to have a new controller in here, which will give us a lot of tunability, especially for the riding style that this bike is built for. This bike will mostly be used for hare scramble style races. Any track or arena cross style races will be done with a different bike, but this is our current situation and what we're looking at on our 2024 Ultra B. So another thing that's taking place on the Ultra B, before we get into the new tires and what they are, we are considering going with a different set of wheels. Not because the KKE wheels have caused any problems or had a single issue the entire time we've had them and we've ridden this bike really hard. The reason we're considering going to a new set of wheels is simply to have a backup, and we're gonna be changing the color of this bike. We're putting a wrap on it, trying to protect the frame a little bit better. So a lot of color things are coming into play. Not that that really matters, but it's really nice to always have a backup set of wheels as well. These KKEs will serve as a backup for both our 25 Ultra B and our 24 Ultra B. Now, as far as tires, we are going with the IRC VE35 tires on this bike. And the reason for that is because this bike is going to be more of a trail hare scramble style race bike. It's not going to be a track bike. Although these tires can hold up on the track, they are not the most gummy tire that you can get from IRC, but we don't require that style of tire for the type of riding that this bike is going to do. And on the rear, we are going to go with an IRC VE33. Now, the compound on these tires is just much softer. It doesn't really do it much justice in the photo or the video, but I can squeeze these knobs and this tire just creates a ton more grip under slippery conditions, rocky conditions, sandy conditions, the type of stuff that we do and the type of riding that we do on this bike. We have always ran the MX53s on the Ultra B. It's just always been a good tire for us, and we have those on a lot of other bikes. But as we start to tune this bike more for the style of riding that we intend to do with it, it's going to need a little bit of love in the tire department. And as you can tell, After about 600 miles on these tires, it's time to get new ones, and we decided to go with something a little bit different to give us a little bit more grip and a little bit more traction under the conditions that we're going to be in. So another small adjustment that you guys can do, I don't know how well you can see it, we have on the 2025 Ultra B the Warp 9, I don't know exactly what it's called. It's about a 20 millimeter less thick fork bump right here. So when you turn your forks, you have a lot more articulation in the forks when you turn it. Again, for the style of riding that this bike will be, if we're on a track, maybe that's not so important. We did it to the 2025 because we just wanted to see how it works, see if we liked it, and we do like it a lot. So we are going to switch these bumps to the Warp 9 bumps. Just give us a little bit more articulation in the turns, help us out under very particular situations when you're in a tight single track. You have to get over a log, bump around a rock, whatever it is. Having more flexibility in your steering is never a bad thing. Okay, so let's talk pegs. We have the KKEs that we have had on here from the very, very beginning. We never changed them one time. As you can see, they have been through it. We are going to switch to the Warp 9 Elite foot pegs. It does give you a little bit more surface area to stand on. It's just nicer. It's a better feel. They have more teeth on them. Well, probably not more teeth, just teeth in a different area. So it makes for a really good stance, a really good riding position. I really like them. And it's just time to refresh this bike. It's been beaten pretty bad, and these pegs tell the tale of all the miles and rocks that this bike has been on. So we are going to switch out to those. I have no issue with the KKE pegs or products. It's just time to try something new. And as you can tell, these things could use a little bit of love. Okay, so let's talk about the Charge Cycle Works drop brackets. I've had these on for a long time, and they do allow you to drop your foot pegs down about an inch. The problem with these, and the only issue with them, not their durability. They stand up very well, but they stick out a little bit more than the Warp 9 ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip these around, get rid of them, and we're going to go to the Warp 9 drop brackets. They seem to have a more tight form factor, fits better to the frame of the bike, and you don't find yourself kind of hitting them on rocks when you're going around them. They just seem to be a little bit more snug to the bike. Obviously nothing bad to say about these pegs. They worked really well for a ton of miles. However, as we make all these changes and we kind of figure out what it is that we want for this bike, that is a step that we're going to take. We put them on the 2025. We're super happy with them, so we're going to toss them on the 2024 as well. That way we kind of have the same feel across both bikes, even though both bikes are going to be raced in different styles of terrain. All right, so you see what we're working with in terms of the electrical connections, and it's obvious that they have been through what some would call a torture test. Now, if you have your bike in this configuration and it's all the way torn apart, or if you have the time and willingness to keep your bike in good standing for a long period of time, I'm going to suggest you do two things that we always do in the shop. Number one being electronic cleaner. You can spray this directly in all of your connections on your bike when you have it completely torn apart. It just gets any dust, any dirt, any grime, anything that's in your bike's electrical wiring harness, it cleans it out, and it's going to be a better situation for you long term. After you do that, the next thing you want to add is some dielectric grease. This dielectric grease will keep all of your connections more watertight. It's just like a lubricant. It kind of comes out as a gel, and you just put it all over your connections before you plug them back in. That keeps moisture and water, dust, sand, all the things that ruin wiring harnesses. It keeps them out, and it'll make your life a lot better in the long term. So it's something that you should probably be considering if you're going to be doing something like this to your bike, or if your bike has seen conditions similar to this, you may want to take that step. All right, so that is it for the 2025 Ultra B. We have a lot of work to do in the shop. We are going to get the SR completely built, get all the extra components and parts that we want to put on it, and get it ready for racing. I'm really hoping that we can get a new wheel set for this bike soon. I know a couple companies that make them, but I just have not decided to bite the bullet to put an 1821 on this bike, because once that happens, you are on a machine that can really keep up with just about any bike on the market. So I'm excited to see what this thing can do. If you guys have any questions, concerns, or input on the video or the things that we're going to be doing to our bikes, please leave that in the comments. And if not, I will see you guys on the next one.